elegant weapon for a more civilized age.
I have fought the worst of all wars and witnessed the redemption of evil. I have seen balance restored to the Force. But order can turn to chaos, as it did when I was born. Now, with my loved ones and my loyal allies, I face a new challenge unlike any before. And I'm not sure at this time we can win.
Star Wars Vector Prime by R.A. Salvatore, the first novel of the new Jedi Order.
Are you sure? Sylvie.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome. Yes, this is my channel, OG Star Wars, but I am going to have you guys, if you haven't done it yet, go subscribe to Gatekeepers Alliance. And yeah, we're celebrating being monetized. And so hopefully we'll be bringing some more content on the actual channel to you guys. And our next show will be on the 13th, Friday the 13th. That should be fun, right? So how are you guys doing? Welcome to our Thursday CAF chat. And I am happy to be here with you guys. I woke up a little bit late, but I'm okay. I'm good. I feel like I'm catching a cold or something. There's a strange summer cold going around or whatever, but I'm doing great. I got my CAF here. And I'm ready to go. We have a great lineup. And so we are going to get into here pretty quick before we get into our book of the week and our Lucas Facts, some news about Filoni that I shared on Twitter yesterday. And people are taking that news as a bit of confirmation that Lucasfilm is looking at him to be a co-president or president of Lucasfilm. So we'll get into that here pretty soon. But I just want to say hello. I want to make sure you guys have your beverages. So what do you have in your mug? Of course, I have my CAF, my coffee, and get settled in here. So yes, so good morning to you. And for New Jedi Order lore, we are still in the Star by Star timeline. And that is it's going to take not a while, but it's going to take some time to get through. There's a lot going on. And we are going to talk about the state of the Senate, or the New Republic, basically trouble in the Senate. And I think that's going to be something that is probably, for those who haven't read it or haven't read it in a while, you're going to be quite surprised by a lot going on. There's a lot going on, and it's masterclass writing. It's gritty. There's a lot of shit going on. And if you thought things were happening already, you're like, damn, this is crazy. New Jedi Order, and the Vong are ruthless and what have you. We're just beginning. We are just fucking beginning. It's crazy. So let me see who is in the chat. We have Silver Ogre. How you doing? Hitting the two at 4:21 a.m. Well, good morning. Hopefully you have some strong stuff in the mug. Some strong CAF, right? And Star Wars Grand. Wow, let's go. Yep. That's gonna be clipped. Lucky at my face not on camera, because that's where the real thing shit gets when you get clipped and stuff like that, is your face, your expression when you do that shit. All right, Star Wars Marva Pierce is here. Think of Order 66 music throughout Star by Star. Yes, I was thinking about playing that. I was going to ask you how you play your overlay music. Do you download it to media assets or whatever? Or you just play it over on a different tab and it just comes through? So I was wondering how you play your music right there. But if I did Order 66 music, it'd probably get copyrighted. So I ain't going to try to do that on here. And then CAF Chat. CAF Chat is peak. Thank you so much. You know what, you guys? I am almost at 3,400 subscribers. Yes, it's taken this channel a while to grow because I am specifically a George Lucas era of Star Wars, and I've been pretty consistent with my content for a very long time, and it's about George Lucas era lore. I do share Star Wars news. I do compare and contrast between both Disney faux lore and the actual real lore and stuff. So there's bits and pieces of that I do here. But because I don't do reactions to like the news or sometimes I do it, but it's not a thing. It's not where my channel's built, or reactions to other things that's going on in I don't hope grift or have the copium going on. My channel grows a little slower, but it's steady. So I want to thank you guys so much for continually coming back, hanging out, supporting the channel, watching the videos, all of that. You guys are fucking amazing. And, I wanted to be consistent with what I do. And I understood that, people love drama. It's just human nature, right? So we want to hear what's going on at the moment, what have you. But my goal here, Twitter is for me to really tear into the shills and stuff like that. And sometimes I bring it over here to talk, right? But my channel is keeping the real Star Wars in front of you guys to keep it relevant, because every time a new show comes out, every time a new title for a show comes out, it's similar or the same, or but what I'm trying to say here is when you go to search for certain characters, certain titles, or what have you, it is bombarded by the faux lore. So if I can keep everything front and center here, and even on Twitter, I'm doing my part to keep true Star Wars alive. And we have other channels that are doing that, like Star Wars Scran, Star Wars Marvel Purist, Matt Wilkins. We have a lot of channels that do that, keep in their own specific way. And so that's what makes all of us uniquely different. And I'm thankful for every single one of you. And yes, it's just the perfect timing. Become a member. Now, I haven't checked yet, but I may be able to put a couple more emojis up. But, we have the CAF Chat, Elitist, Revan, Darth Talon, the Ewok, Obi-Wan, Salacious Scrum, Jaina, Cadus, R2, and the Gonk droid. So become a member. And on top of that, this Sunday at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time is the beginning of our watch party, our listen party for Young Jedi Knights. So we're going to do 2 hours. We're going to split up each book for 2 hours, because I believe on average they're about 4 hours each. And so I'm inviting you guys to become a channel member and sit with me and the other channel members and enjoy true Star Wars. If you like Jaina and Jason, and you like the Solo Kids, you like and you're curious about the Academy and how Luke has grown as a teacher, as a Jedi Knight, as a master. And it's not specifically about him, but this is his product, what he promised Yoda, right? So if you're all interested in to see the evolution of what Luke set up per his promise to Yoda in Return of the Jedi, fucking amazing movie, join us. Even if you haven't read it yet. If you've read it before many times, join us. I think this is a beautiful thing to do with you channel members, is sitting and enjoying the lore together, like listening and talking in the chat, grabbing snacks, having fun, and almost like a book club. Like if you were to sit down in a room and have a book club and you read a book and you meet together once a week or something like that and discussing the few chapters of the book, just like a fucking book club. And I think it's fucking amazing. So join the channel, support that way. And it's my way of giving back. And then I keep on forgetting to tell you guys, channel members, you guys get 10% off my art prints and stuff like that. So if you are interested, let me know if you want to purchase something, and I will set up the discount code. I have to update that discount code and stuff. I think it's done expired, so I'll take care of that. All right, that's a mouthful. Hello, everybody, and like the stream in the way, in or else. I'm at the. It's not going to work. I just totally bummed that out, man. I totally just crashed that. I was going to say, or else I'll have to shoot force lightning at you or something like that. That didn't go very well. Oh, wow. All right. And member listen party book 1. Yes, exactly. Thank you so much for reminding. I was going to announce it. And so thank you. And then Lucas Gerson is here. Hello there. Dark greetings, everyone. Well, dark greetings to you. CAF just percolated. Cafe. I know what you meant. CAF, cafe. Let's see here. One more. The gatekeepers will rule the galaxy, and we will have peace. Right. We are bringing peace to the galaxy. All right. Lucas says, almost half into Planet of Twilight. When I finish the Callisto trilogy, I'm gonna finally get Star by Star. You're gonna skip all the way and just read Star by Star. You know, if you've read the New Jedi Order, yeah, you could surely skip around. And I'm not saying that as a new reader to New Jedi Order that you can't, but it's you need to begin at Vector Prime if you haven't read it before. That right there sets up a lot of the tone. Yes, usually the first books are the setup books, right? But there's a lot going on. It's fucking amazing. All right. And here I am cussing like crazy today. Hello. Dilly Squat. Hello. How are you? How are you doing? All right. Gatekeeper Alliance got monetized. Awesome. Yes. Grapple Rock. The like button. And how are you doing, Conrado? How's everything going? I know what you said. It's like, what, 1 a.m. in the Philippines or something like that? Something like during this time. Am I right? All right. And Scran says, I'm loving Agents of Chaos. Yes, it's freaking amazing. And as we get to Star by Star, when I am still reading through, I have the hardcover book, but I am still reading. I'm on chapter 2 finally. And I've been doing bead work. My daughter's graduating, and I'm beading her cap. Beading, that's adding beads, decorating, or whatever you want to call it. But I also listened to the unabridged version on Audible, and it's so fucking plot heavy, and there's a lot missing in there. Like, I shared a clip on Twitter, and it's of Leia sensing Anakin, spoilers, die in the Force. If you don't know that already. And I believe she's supposed to be holding baby Ben during that time. And in the Audible, it really doesn't say she's holding him. It's been a while since I read Star by Star, so I'm rereading. I'm not there yet, obviously. But yeah, so the Audible, I would not suggest as a first read through the Audible. Now, we do have channels here on YouTube that has the full version, the full unabridged version. And I highly recommend that. If you don't have time to fully sit down, you can turn it on and listen to while you clean around the house, while you drive and do errands and stuff like that. So I highly recommend. There's many ways to get to that book, but not the Audible, not the unabridged. Like, every chapter, there's 4 chapters. And Star by Star is the biggest written book in the EU. And there's only 4 chapters. And each is like 45 minutes, 50 minutes long. That's fucking bullshit. I mean, how do you cut down so much in such a big and amazing, impactful event? Like, there's a lot going on. There's a lot of events going on inside that book. How do you cut all of that shit out without sacrificing something, right? Silver says, had to reload. This was still showing pending on my phone. Oh, that's crazy. You know what? Mine's been doing that too. I don't know what's going on. All right. Ever tried to hire ghostwriters to write theories and read lore for you? I heard it helps channel growth. That's fucking bullshit. Dilly Squat comes in. Oh my God. Hell no. I'd rather do my work. Like the recent video I did about what Theory said about what he was told by Roger Christian. I found out about that Sunday, so shout outs to Darth Pause. I forgot to say that in the video, and I hate when I forget to credit give credit where credit's due. Well, anyways, he shared that video clip, and so I made a exposing video. I guess you could say exposure. And that Sunday, when I found out about that video, I was down with this horrible like head pain, migraine. It had me down. So I was trying to work, trying to rest, trying to get it. And then so finally, I got all the visuals and everything that I needed for the video. And then Monday, I finally did the Audible and and fine-tuned it and the edit and published it. And I'd rather sit down and take the time to do the research myself, to verify with the source I have, like the book and maybe source books I have or whatever, and find the images, make sure the images are not Disney Star Wars content type images, because when you're talking about the lore or addressing George Lucas era of Star Wars, it's kind of an insult to put in images that are from Disney Star Wars, really. I think it is. And so I take my time. I make sure that all my ducks are aligned, That's just how it goes, It's more authentic that way. And, mistakes happen. And so I try to avoid as many as possible when I'm presenting anything. And if I do find something, then I say, hey, shit happens, and all that. So Paris says, great first book for Lucino. Yes, it is. Yes, it was. Great book. I agree. What's up, Melissa Lord? How are you doing? And these are channel members here, Melissa, Purist, and good day and howdy to you, and thank you for becoming a channel member. Thank you so much for supporting. So you renewed. It's a renewal. Still, thank you so much. And CAF chat. Yeah. All right. So let's go ahead. I'm going to scroll down, say hello, address everybody here. And then we're going to get into the Filoni news. And then we're going to get into our Lucas facts and our book of the week. All right. So let's see what you guys have to say here. I'm going to add the Gatekeepers Alliance logo when I unlock my next emoji. Yeah, I was thinking about that too. I need to do that. I do have this, and I keep on forgetting that I have it, but I do have this. I have to scroll all the way down my stuff here, but I do have this.
Fuck the fandom menace.
Fuck the fandom menace.
There we go. So I do have that video. I keep forgetting I have it on here, but here you go. All right. Because we are not the fandom menace, right? We are not the fandom menace. And Mike Casillas is here. Theory and Josh must be excited. Yeah. And I guess there's a game that came out, or I don't know if it came out, but it's Fortnite, and you can go and do some campaign runs against the Death Star. And of course, it's Disney content, like everything in Star Wars comes out is Disney content right now. And so I bet you there's a lot of people on our side that have played it. I think it's supposed to come out today, or was it yesterday? But anyways, I bet you a lot of people jumped on that are like, used to be like, oh, fuck Disney, Star Wars, and cancel Disney Plus for Gino Carano, those kind of people. Now they're like all switched their everything, even though Gina's still going through trial and stuff, they still support Disney Star Wars, which is ironic, because they have this campaign, and stuff, and now they totally just dropped it. Because they have no morals. But really, they don't have no morals whatsoever. It kind of does her little flight, kind of does her wrong for these people not staying consistent, right? If I was Gina, I would question that shit. Really, I would. All right, John Gets Gaming. What's up? Another channel member. After Jedi Eclipse, I'll probably go back to and catch up on the EU in more release order till I reach New Jedi Order. Apparently, some big stuff happens soon, but gonna be fun enjoying some Batten bangers too. Yeah, it's all fucking good. It's all good. And like Star by Star, like I just mentioned not too long ago, that it calls back to the Young Jedi Knights. So there's some callback to that. So, and when you read through the book and the books, like throughout the timeline, the more you get to know the lore, the more you'll spot back the callbacks, the continuity, I would say the historical callbacks, because Star Wars is one single timeline. It's one single timeline of history, basically. If you want to go in that perspective, it's one single timeline of history. And so it's just like, if we were sitting with our friends and we're calling back, for example, like I'll sit down and at the end of June is the Battle of Little Bighorn. I'm just going to go there because that's just a historical event that's significant to me and my family. We can sit down and say, oh yeah, the Battle of Little Bighorn anniversary is coming up. And, and then we could talk about, what had happened during that time, and, the family members that have fought against Custer, and all that. So it's just like that, calling back history. And I think it's amazing. I really do. They really did a good thing, making sure to tie up all the continuity and stuff into a historical timeline. Because they hate the EU, they can't imagine things either, right? And I've been seeing Scran has been getting this one dude that had blocked me. I didn't know he blocked me. Oh, well, the EU's not canon. George didn't like it. That kind of talk again. It's fucking ridiculous. It's like, it's already been proven that it's one single continuity by how the company treated it, how it was advertised, how it was handled, how it was written. So basically, somewhere down the line, George is like, yeah, we're going to make this all one continuous timeline. My movies are going to be the foundation. That's what everything's going to come spin off of. And people don't realize that. And it just gets kind of like, it's just, these people are just useless, I guess you could say. Just useless. All right, let's go ahead and I know there's more people jumping in. Hi, Andrew. How are you doing? I see you. And let's see who else is coming in. I'm going to get this. Andor ratings, misinformation part 2 should release in 2 hours or so, not as long as the DA. I play Joshy Boy's cringy voice on 1.5 speed. Okay. Yeah. So he's been doing his work and covering the misinformation about the Andor ratings. So I suggest video 1. And then when we're done here, part 2 should be coming out. I suggest going and watching that as well. It's very important because people are using the narrative. Oh, it's good because it was rated so high, because the watch time was so high and stuff. So he breaks that down, and we all seen it coming. Even Mr. Grizzy was saying that because they're releasing 3 at a time, it's going to help them in the ratings and stuff. And they did that on purpose, even though the watch time was significantly low. Like Disney Plus watch time, like Disney Plus is one of the least, I guess you could say, platforms that is watched, So that's not that is not a winner at all. That's nothing to brag about, boast about, nothing like that. So go ahead and check out his videos, part 1 when you can, and then part 2. Okay, 12 chapters in my Dark Lord Rise of Darth Vader reread. Awesome. Oh, you're rereading that too. Pretty cool. I know it's a great stuff. Like Bail Organa's response to when Vader comes to Alderaan. Holy shit, that's worth its read in itself. Like there's a lot of shit going on in that book too, but like to see Bail Organa, you could say to read Bail Organa and how he's responding to Vader coming to Alderaan, to his palace, I guess you can say, and how he tries to keep Bria and Leia. Briha and Leia away from him, and how Leia cries and like she's throwing a fit and stuff like that, and what Belle is planning to do to protect Leia. It's worth a read. I mean, he just in that scene, in that episode, or that scene, that event in the book shows Bail Organa truly who he is compared to anything that Disney has done for him in the last 10 years. So there you go. So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. All right. So let's get into. So did you guys hear about Filoni recently? I mean, there's always rumors about Filoni. Civil War. There's always like these pieces keep being shifted. Like it used to be Filoni and Favreau against Kennedy. It used to be Filoni against Kennedy. It used to be no one against Kennedy because that's during the DT time, the Disney trilogy time. And, and as new people come in, like we had Leslie Hemlin with Kennedy. They were teaming up. But what's strange is like this recent Civil War is like teaming up with Kennedy is Gilroy, the man that everybody loves, that they think that is saving Star Wars. But they still won't recognize Kennedy. Isn't that crazy? It's like they pick a fucking narrative, right? They pick a narrative, and if she's in any inkling of good praise, they do mental gymnastics. They totally ignore and stuff. And anything that is deemed good per Disney Star Wars, Kennedy never had anything to do with, right? But anything and all things that are bad, Kennedy was in charge of. She made sure everything was done. She made sure blah, blah, blah. But you know what? Gilroy basically said in interviews, because I've been going through these interviews, Gilroy basically is crediting Kennedy for helping him with everything. Like things that he wanted in the show, she had his back. She made sure they were done. You know, all the support he received goes to Kennedy. So there's a civil war going on, right? That it's Gilroy and Kennedy versus Filoni. But yet people won't recognize Kennedy because, oh God, she's got to still be the bad guy. She's got to do this. No, I'm not praising her either. I'm not defending her either. I'm just showing off the hypocrisy here, right? But now Inside Hollywood published an article, and it's about Disney in general, but of course Lucasfilm is one of the properties that Disney owns now. And so they basically was talked about Filoni being in the running for co-president or president of Lucasfilm. So we're going to get into that. I don't know if you guys know this or seen this. If you're on Twitter, you may have seen my clip or my tweet. So let me go ahead and bring this up. Just go ahead and do this here. All right. So I have the certain section highlighted because this is a long ass article, because they're talking about all the properties, a lot of the properties of Disney. They're talking about Disney in general, but this is the title here. So this is the Hollywood Reporter. Inside Hollywood Succession Wars. The look behind the battle lines in the industry's real life Game of Thrones, from the ever-shifting power struggles at Disney to the secret machinations at the top agencies. So they go through all this. I'm not going to waste my time on everything. However, there might be some pieces that, you know, someone may want to cover on their channel and stuff. I am about Star Wars, Lucasfilm and stuff, and I do share the news, even the Disney Star Wars ones. And this is the one that I wanted to cover, and I'll get to some points. So Lucasfilm seems likely to follow that path in replacing Kennedy, despite speculations about outside candidates, including former 20th Century head Emma Watts. Insiders say the company seems most likely to promote from within. So insiders. Yeah, Hollywood Reporter, you could probably say they do have insiders, whatever. To me, whenever I see insiders, I think of Sparrow, you know, those kind of things. And even with this, I do, because, you know, you're saying insiders, but you're not giving a name. So I see that as shady. I see that as I'm going to question, right? So the current thinking is a scenario where Chief Creative Officer Dave Filoni and production head Carrie Beck, both Lucasfilm vets, take a co-head roles. Double-headed. Even so, basically, the current thinking, that's the keywords, the current thinking for a scenario. So this is not confirmation. This is a current thinking, speculation, thoughts, whatever. Doesn't validate. It doesn't say that Dave Filoni is considered, like fully considered or in the running for. And I've been seeing a lot of like pro Disney Star Wars channels say otherwise, that Dave Filoni is in the running to be head president or co-president or whatever. And again, insider. You question people, you question sources that have insiders, my insider, my source. You question that because if there's not a name attached, then to me, that's like a thing to question. It, there's speculation behind there. It could be just a rumor. It could be a nobody. It could have been the fucking janitor who heard something in the bathroom but is not sure. So take it with a grain of salt, like many people say, right? Let's see here, where did I leave off at? Even as an arm of Disney Lucasfilm remains, in many ways, a family business, and as George Lucas's protege, fuck that shit, protege. This is what they're saying. Filoni is his protege. So Lucas's protege, Filoni, long has been considered a golden boy. Well, I mean, he does like to, shower people when they're wandering the deserts, right? The golden showers, the golden boy. Yeah. I mean, we could just go there. But the knock against him is that he might be too steeped in Star Wars lore and risk steering a show into dense mythology that loses a broader audience. Now you see the hints here. They wanted to take away the EU, and I'm not defending Filoni here. I am defending the mythologies and the hero's journey, all of that George built Star Wars on, that even as we're reading through New Jedi Order, you still see that. You still see the mythologies because it's played in there in scenarios, in hero journey arcs, in geek tragedy, Greek tragedy, and also the mythologies that are put in for the Vong, right? The lore, all of that. And they dropped the EU to not use anymore because you know what? If you haven't noticed, they want to insert their modern politics. They want to be political steeped instead of mythology. Yes, George used political themes because that's needed to show how the old republic fell to the empire, right? You need that. Those are themes. However, Star Wars is built on, different aspects of the culture, like cultures throughout the world that George seen, because he's got a degree, or he's got some study in anthropology. And also the hero's journey, studying all the cultures throughout the world and the mythologies and how they all are very similar, even though the stories are different or named different or what have you. The hero's journey too, which is included in that. So now it's like even Hollywood reporters like, we don't want fucking mythologies because that would lose a broader audience. Are you fucking kidding me? Star Wars was kept alive and well between the movies and even after the movies were done with the EU, with the expanded universe, I guess you can say. And it wasn't because, it was all about the mythologies, the story and stuff like that. There was a big, huge, broader audience, supporters, fans that you fucking alienated by dropping the EU, tossing it out. You took out your broader audience because of what you want to insert inside Star Wars, right? I mean, so this is kind of laughable. And then it makes me question, like, even the Hollywood reporter. They know the fucking agenda with Disney, Star Wars, or Disney Lucasfilm. This is very telling. This article, this little bit, this paragraph is very telling on the direction that, they wanted to take Star Wars and continue to take Star Wars. And you have these fucking fence riders that are like, oh, fuck Disney. But then the minute a product that barely makes the bar is so fucking low, it's buried. The standards of Star Wars is so fucking low, it's buried, that they praise it and say, oh, Star Wars is saved again. Right? You know what? Star Wars is about mythology. It's about the hero's journey. It's about good versus bad, light versus dark. Yeah, there's some gray areas because there's always going to be morality gray areas, and bringing people back to the light, right? Or back to the good, being good. But now these people are praising a company that don't give a shit about the structure George built. And I don't know if they even realize that or they even understand what Star Wars is. I don't know. There's no self-awareness with that whatsoever. So let's go on. So quote unquote, he's not the Andor guy. See what I'm saying? So they're using Andor. They're using that narrative that we've seen that was staged by Lucas, or not Lucasfilm, but by a lot of people about Andor. He's the Ahsoka guy. He's not the Andor guy. He's the Ahsoka guy. Well, you know what? Gilroy even said in the past that he's not a Star Wars fan. Like he switched up his verbiage real quick on saying he doesn't like Star Wars, and then going into saying that he never got into Star Wars. And that's telling. So they're praising a guy that really doesn't really have respect much for the lore. He just came in to do his job and get a check. And, you know, the consensus is that he, like the product that he created, yeah, it's a good sci-fi, you know, kind of thing that is more Earth-based than anything else. But it's not Star Wars. Like, that's a good way to see that as well, even though the Star Wars under Disney isn't Star Wars. But so you have this narrative going on that's even been being used in The Reporter. And this is said by one Disney insider. Again, question insider. Question insider. Who's this fucking insider, right? Who is this insider? Beck, who joined the company in 2012, knows the ins and outs, but neither she nor Filoni has much film experience, which could be mitigated by Kennedy's continued presence as a producer on certain Star Wars projects, ensuring quality control in the short term. Actually, Kennedy has been producer to everything, not just certain, but everything. Now, let me see who wrote this article, because I'm very suspicious. I'm going to keep an eye on this person here that wrote the article, if there's any more coming out with how this person's talking. And let's see here. And this is by Peter Kiefer. All right, let me see what you guys are saying in the chat, because I've been on that screen here so much. Let's see here. And you say that they short circuit and say you only like glow sticks deep. Oh, wait, what? Oh, you're talking about, okay, here it is. Yeah, I use the phrase, it's only good according to its own internal logic and is willfully ignorant about the source material. Yes, I agree. And I agree what you said down there. I had to come up and read what you said earlier. He's not the boring series guy. He's the other boring series guy. Very good. Let's see here. We want black and white stories instead of hiring Hollywood directors to write Star Wars. You're right, Mike. Okay, I'm going from the bottom of the chat up. So I'm scrolling from the recent to the previous. So yeah, let's see here. Let's see. Filoni is the golden boy. What the fuck this guy using? Right? The Ahsoka guy. Well, yeah, I mean he basically is, but it's what's funny is like myself, Purist, Tim, Ryan, Kennel. There's a bunch of us, Matt. There's a bunch of us that seen Filoni as a fake from the start. Back in 2008, we've seen it coming. We've seen it, and now all of a sudden, because Andor is good, well, Filoni's bad now because he's not a masterclass writer, you know, kind of deal. It's quite funny. Let's see here. Star Wars Grand. Star Wars Meg just dropped a video saying Disney finally announced it. There is no official announcements for KK being replaced. No, there's none. There is none whatsoever. And I think I might have seen her tweet about it, but I didn't know she posted a video. But you know what? I've been going, and there's a couple of tweets that I debunked with some of that paragraph. And people just don't fucking read. They don't read the fucking article, or they read a secondary version, for example, maybe Screen Rant wrote one, I don't know. And they'll reference where they got the source from, and then they will come up with their own conclusion. Many will use those secondary articles and but not go to the actual article and then you'll find out how they misinterpret the article to fit whatever they're trying to express. And it's very disingenuous and dishonest, really. I didn't read this one there, did I? Oh, yeah, I did. Let's see here. I'm sick of this morally gray millennial writing. I agree. What's up, Vato? Hey, you're supposed to click. There you go. Follow OG on Twitter. What's up, Vato? How are you doing? I'm so happy you are here now as well. All right. Even without reading X-Wing Book 1, I already knew Wedge Antilles is way better character than Dopey Luthen. Correct. He is amazing. We'll get into that with our Lucas or when we get to our lore talk. All right. So that's what I wanted to bring up. This article here that people are they're basically exaggerating all of it. They are exaggerating. Let me take a drink. And running with it. And it's telling. It is fucking telling. It is. All right, let's see here. Read, they see potential replacements and use that for a video. Mm-hmm. And let's see, everyone, Lords mentioned open my eyes to Filoni. And let's see here. And I wish we got president who obeys the EU, not overprotecting an orange alien. He's not president, and that's just a thought. It's not confirmation or anything like that. And it's by a source, an insider, which, again, I would question. Like, if there's no validation, if there's no one officially making a statement, then question it all. It doesn't mean it's true whatsoever. And don't run with it that way. All right. So with that being said, let's move on to our Lucas facts. How are you guys doing out there? If you need to refresh, feel free to refresh your drink.
CAF. Lots of it. For me and for the ready room. I have a feeling this mission is not one we can fly in our sleep.
That's great.
I hate this sometimes.
That's great.
It's going to be great.
That's going to be great.
It's going to be great.
That's going to be great.
All right. So here we go. Here is our Lucas facts here. And we just came up on the anniversary not too long ago on June 1st. So anniversary of ILM. So I wanted to use this as a Lucas fact here. Industrial Lights and Magic officially opened at its 6842 Valjean Avenue, Van Nuys, California, location. Dijkstra had found the empty warehouse, which was closer to Hollywood than San Francisco, where Lucas had wanted to locate the new effects company. The first person hired by ILM was model builder Grant McCune. Hired soon after were Jerry Greenwood, Richard Alexander, Bob Shepard as production manager, L. Miller, Don Trumbull, model builder Bill, and Jim Shrout, and Richard Edlund, who headed up the camera department. One of the first projects developed by the fledgling effects company was the design and construction of the motion control camera, which would allow Dijkstra and his team to program camera movements and repeat them repeatedly. So there you go. So ILM, which is something like George and the crew involved, created and made some groundbreaking film industry technology and all of that. So I just wanted to pay homage to this. Since then, you can find, and I wish I would have pulled it up and just written it out, but they have a huge filmography list of all the studios they helped with their film effects and all of that. So this is George Lucas, independent filmmaker, making like headwaves and making his way through the industry with his technology, with the help of people who helped him create this and his wonderful team. and he marketed, basically he had ILM hired out to other studios. So brilliant man. He's like, fuck Hollywood, but then I'm gonna be the leading one that's gonna really open up the industry, I guess you could say. So this man, a genius when it comes to all his breakthroughs in Hollywood in so many ways. Awesome guy. I just thought I'd share this with you guys. Andrew says he had so much vision, he didn't wait around for the culture to catch up. He revolutionized every industry. Yes, he did. Lucas says people have to understand that Disney Star Wars whole fabric on how it works comes from Filoni and his TCWBS. Almost all the new content works that exact way. I know, right? And even Andor, it went along some of that too. I mean, we're going to get into a cringe factor that Go talks about Andor and how Yavin 4 and Yavin 4. So we're going to get into that. So let's see here. It is about how Andor gave Yavin 4 annoying origin story. That's going to be fun. And I figured this one may bring in some shills, trigger some shills, and may bring them in like these Andor shills, and they'll be like, no, they didn't. Gilroy was brilliant, and they're going to really defend that scene and what have you, but that's going to be fun. That is going to be fun. All right, Gibbet, how are you doing? OG, when are you going to wear the slave Leia outfit? Laugh out loud. Oh my God, I would expect Soul Assassin to bring this up, but hello. You know what? I know I do owe a cosplay, but I'm thinking once I'm 4,000 or 5,000, I will. Okay, you heard it here first. So I've been steadily climbing. Like every week, I'm going up at least like 50 subscribers every week, 50 to almost 100. And I think by the end of this month, I'll be 3,500. So I am waiting and I'm watching, and which means I got to go and look and buy. I don't think I'm ready for it, but it's all good. It's all good. Soul Assassin, wait, what? Who's stealing my jokes? Oh. He's like, oh, what? I'm here. I heard that. I heard that. All right. So let's go ahead. So ILM, Industrial Lights and Magic. They are fucking amazing. And George is brilliant. Him and his team who did some groundbreaking effects and stuff like that. And yeah, I will always pay homage to that. Whoever, people call me a George Lucas apologist or whatever. I put him on a pedestal. I give him credit where credit's due, his brilliance. And you know what? I'm not like some of these people who want to bash the prequels. Like prequels, they were still very much popular during the time, very well received and stuff. You had the very few loud minorities that at the time used the technology that was available. The internet wasn't fully functional that well or that much during that time, and YouTube was brand new, and all of this. So there was that little loud minority, and I'm not a part of that. Yes, there's scenes that I'm like, George could have done better, but that's with everything, like I don't think George is perfect. George does contradict some of the stuff he says, and stuff like that. I've also, spoke out against him in some cases, but for what he did, stepped away from Hollywood, stuck to his words about, not allowing Hollywood studios control his product. I admire that. I admire that. Nuggets boy is authentic. Yeah, he is. Little nuggets. Yes, he is. And that guy tried to get at me too. So I think that might be in Melvin's documentary too as well. And what's funny is he's crying around about me and Melvin to Mr. Grizzy. It's so fucking funny. But we're not here to talk about that, but that's the news behind that, some of that. All right, so let's get into let's get into the book of the week, and then we'll get into lore. We'll get into the lore. So let's do this. Let me go ahead and go back to the screen, and we'll play this.
I hate to say it, but it looks like
Story.
the item you're searching for doesn't exist.
Impossible. Perhaps the archives are incomplete.
If an item does not appear in our records, it does not exist.
I love that video. Here we go. So not necessarily a book, but a start of a character's arc in the comics. So this is the Republic series. Even though it's not labeled Republic, they still call it Republic. But this is Twilight. And this is the beginning of Aayla Secura's appearances and storyline in the PT era. And a conversation on Twitter sparked this. I'm like, I'm going to share. I had debated between Shatterpoint because Shatterpoint's anniversary just came out, or this. So I decided to do this because I had a conversation, and I want you guys, those who keep an eye on shills and all this and fence riders and stuff like that, there's a green dot community. They call them themselves the Green Jedi, and they use the green dots as their marker, as their logo, I guess. I don't know. And I had a back and forth because this person, he, she, whatever they are, was upset because they sexualized Aayla Secura too much. And it was over a particular scene in one of the comics. I forget which one within the series. Is 4 comic series here. And not 4 comic, but 4 editions in this little this one here. But anyways, and they missed the point about Aayla pushing past stereotypes against Twi'leks and what slavery has done and how they adopted some stuff into their culture, I guess you can say. And so I was sharing that, and her or he or whatever they are, and a few of them just was so pissed off at me, calling me names, saying I don't know what I'm talking about. I shared a lore video that specifically talks about it, and they still went unhinged. They were like fucking hinged, unhinged. They went ballistic, and of course, in the line of that, they call names, say I'm not a Star Wars fan, all of this stuff. It's quite amusing. It's quite hilarious for them when in fact I'm just sharing the context behind the whole arc of this. And I know a while back, like 2 or 3 years ago, when myself and Stig were running through the comics and doing comic reviews, reading them, talking about them with you guys, we did go through Aayla's arc, the series about Aayla. And we talked specifically about everything, that specific thing about her wanting, and she even talks to a young Padawan, Twi'lek Padawan, who is still trying to move through how Twi'leks are seen and stuff like that, and how she wanted to liberate herself and others in her own culture, in her own species. And so I thought, okay, well, you know what? I am going to share Aayla's comics. Like, she was mentioned in number 17, which is shares in the continuity notes, I think, or did I put it in there? I think so. But this is her first appearance. So the writer is John Ostrander. The cover artist is Jan Durasima and Dan Jackson. Penciler, Jan Durasima. So basically, Jan did everything. She penciled it and she colored. Inker, the color artist, or the cover artist. Sorry, the cover artist is her. She's the penciler. The inker is Rick Magyar. Letterer is Steve Dutro. And colorist is Dave McCaig. And published date is June 28th. So the anniversary is coming up in another 23 days. and in 2000. The timeline was 31 BBY, Battle Before Yavin. So I thought that I'd share this because she is one of the pivotal characters that, you know, George loves the comics, that he took out of the comics. And I'm going to play this, and then we'll talk continuity notes, and then we'll move on to New Jedi Order lore talk. So let me see here. Let me go here. We have to pay homage.
Jedi is something that came a little later. When we started building Jedis, we had a lot of Jedis, and we needed more and more Jedis. As we were doing them toward the end, we ended up with a lot of Jedis that looked like people that worked at ILM, you know, with these short little haircuts and looked like they stepped out from behind a computer. And so I was saying we have to get more exotic Jedis. And so we only have so much resources to do these things with, but I do have Twi'leks because we use them quite a bit in other areas in the Senate and as background action. So I have a sort of a wardrobe and a setup of certain kinds of characters. So it was a way of reinventing some of those characters. And I had realized that we had a comic book that has a Twi'lek in it that is a Jedi. There's a whole series actually of her. And I said, well, why don't we put her in this? I mean, she's a comic character, but we'll just fit her in and have her be a background character because that's exotic. And that's how the Twi'lek Jedi ended up in the backgrounds of these shots, was to try to use some of the work and effort that the guys in the comic book world had put into things and characters they had created.
So George paying tribute to the EU and those who help contribute to the lore, the historical timeline, right? So he's honoring the EU by bringing a character in. That's honoring the EU, right? And what's so telling is that, you know, these people are like, oh, we like the EU, you know, we back the EU, blah, 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 blah. But then they still praise Disney lore, which sure, whatever, you know, you're going to like what you like and stuff. And that's what we call fence riders, because one way they are, you know, praising the EU, and then another way they are praising the Disney lore, but the Disney lore and the people behind Disney toss the EU, bastardize characters they bring in, stuff like that. So I keep my eye on those people, those kind of people. So the continuity notes, although Twilight is Aayla Secure's first appearance, she was mentioned in Star Wars number 17 Emissaries to Malastare. So that, I remember that. I want to go through, I got digital copies of this. I don't have the actual prints of this run here. So I have it digital. George, and I should have had brought it up and had images for you guys to see. Didn't even think about it until now, but it is what it is. All right, George Lucas liked Aayla Secure and added her into Attack of the Clones. Twilight consists of 4 issues. So there's 4 issues in this. I highly recommend this. Usually when I recommend comics, I usually start from the very first of the whole damn series, but I was inspired to share the beginning of where a character begins. Now, Quinlan's appearance doesn't begin here, but Ayla's does. And so I just want to specifically share this as well. And let's see here. Aayla Secure, Quinlan Watson, Master Tolman, Republic, Ahsoka is greater than Ahsoka, Anakin, and Obi-Wan in TCW. I agree. Let me see here. And OG, the first time Anakin killed somebody was not Attack of the Clones, but in the book Rogue Planet, which, yeah, I remember that. He was younger than, I think he was 10 or 11 or something like that. I mean, I'm just guesstimating on where the book is placed. Yeah, I remember that. And that Rogue Planet, basically that idea comes from the New Jedi Order. See the historical timeline there? Let's see here. I need George Lucas mapped into the Matrix. I need Jedi, lots of Jedi. I want George Lucas mapped in the Matrix. Let's see here. We had a lot of Jedis, and we need more Jedis, and we ended up with a lot of Jedis. Did I say Jedis already? Right. And you know, George, he has a dry humor. He doesn't necessarily speak eloquently, and that's fine. And it's like, that's a good one there, Dilly Squat. Only Jedi who defeated Aura seeing in battle. Yep, exactly. It gives me chills just talking about it because it's so fucking good, right? Notice he calls it the comic book world, right? Because it's part of the greater world that he's building. you know, if you want to do an analogy, you could say like Star Wars is the creative universe, and like the novel world, there's the comic world, there's the movie world, but they all exist together and all are part of a historical timeline, if you want to go and say it that way. Lucas says Ayla is so good on those in those comics. What a great character. Oh yeah, so you did. I was reading that when we were going through. I just like Twi'lek's Jedi and Sith. My you know, your character was the blue Twilight Jedi before I saw Ayla. Yeah, look at you. And that's the beauty of it, because these games and like these games where you can build your own character and stuff like that, the role-playing games and stuff like that, allows you to explore yourself, your character as a different species and all this other stuff. Amazing. That was brilliant of George to have included. George reading the comics. Hey, that's pretty good, right? The young Twi'lek Padawan had a big impact on the galaxy by her relationship with Crate. Read the EU people, correct? And she's, I hate when that happens. There we go. She's the boogeyman. Yes, I am. Apparently I am. Kind of funny how they have to form a little club to fight Choji. I don't know if they formed it that way. I have no idea. They just one day showed up. And I think I was asking you and Purist and a few others, because I've never, and I'm being honest here, I've never heard the Corellian Jedi being called the Green Jedi. And so I was like, where did this Green Jedi come from? You know, so I was like confused about that until I further got into research and stuff like that. And that's what they're using for their the green dot cults. I call them the retarded green dot cults. That's what they are. Anyways, so let's get into our lore. I'm going to go ahead and play a clip. If you guys need to grab your New Jedi Order book, the resource book, if you have it on you, feel free to. If you need to refresh your drink, go ahead and do that. And let's settle in on this lore talk, because we are going to get into troubles of the Senate here, and troubles in the Senate, not of. And those who don't know, Numenor gets a spot in the Senate. Yep. So shit is getting real, you guys. Shit is getting real. But with that being said, let's go ahead and play a commercial and get ourselves ready to go. Let's see here. What do I want to do? You know, I'm going to play Vector Prime again. Why not? Let's do, you know what? No, let's do the EU from Matt. Where is it? I haven't played that in a while. Where did it go? Alligator Weapon, video outro, Lucas Facts, EU. Here we go.
Someone asked me to give the best reason why someone should read the Expanded Universe. After giving it a lot of thought, here's what I have to say. The Expanded Universe respects the reader. In the Expanded Universe, Luke Skywalker's optimism continues where it left off in Return of the Jedi. He's fulfilled hope to the galaxy, just like Obi-Wan said he would, not like the Disney movies where he gave up on the Jedi, or even the whole galaxy for that matter. The character you see in those movies is not Luke. Luke isn't a quitter. He's not a pessimist. He's a leader. He's inspirational. And he's always there for his friends in times of need. Another character is Han Solo. He's introduced to us in A New Hope as a loner, a man who cares only for himself and nobody else. But by the end of Return of the Jedi, that all turns around when he finally finds friends he can trust and a true love to spend the rest of his life with. And that's exactly what he does in the Expanded Universe. Han is a devoted husband and father to Leia and their kids. He loves his family above all else. In the new movies, Han turns out to be a selfish deadbeat dad who ran out on his family when things get tough. It's a complete 180 from the character that we saw from Return of the Jedi. Now, another thing that
I have fought the worst of all wars and witnessed the redemption of evil. I have seen balance restored to the Force. But order can turn to chaos, as it did when I was born. Now, with my loved ones and my loyal allies, I face a new challenge unlike any before. And I'm not sure if this time we can win.
Star Wars Vector Prime by R.A. Salvatore, the first novel of the new Jedi Order.
CAF. Lots of it. For me and for the Ready Room. I have a feeling this mission is not one we can fly in our sleep.
Well, I didn't mean to cut that EU clip short. I just rolled the cursor over the next one that I'm going to click on, and it brought up Vector Prime and played it. So there you go. Cut short. Didn't mean to. All right. So let's get into this. Man, I don't know what's going on with me. Hopefully I'm not freaking catching a cold, but man, let's get into this. So how many of you guys read the new Jedi Order? I'm always asking this, but because I always have someone new in the chat. Or have you read Star by Star yet? At least up to that. So we are in the timeline of Star by Star. And there's things that we're going to get through here. We are going to particularly talk about the troubles in the Senate, because I think that's very, very important. And I know, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to. I just rolled the cursor over just so it's ready for me to click, and it automatically played it. And I'm like, fuck you. Yeah, that's just one of those days, I guess. CAF is the true Kyle Katarn. This live stream makes me want to play the Battlefront 2 as Ayla. There you go. The real Battlefront 2 that came out before they put in all the bullshit, Disney shit in there. But don't play it because you want a Battlefront 3, because that's bullshit. Because if you're playing it just because you want Battlefront 3, that means you want more Disney content. And that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. You're a curse, all right? Yes, I am. All right. All right. So with this being said, let me pull this up here. And I'm going to put it on the bigger here. So I always try to have at least some kind of visuals for you guys. So we're still, of course, moving through the new Jedi Order. This is Zonamasikat, or was it Zonamasikat? No, this is the Yujantar, I believe. This is the map again of the invasion and all that. So let's go ahead and move through. Again, this stays the same. This is the planets taken during Star by Star as they're moving closer to Coruscant. And yeah, there's a lot going on. And eventually they're going to try to get some Voxins on Coruscant to kind of infiltrate and, get the Jedi out of there too and stuff. There's a lot going on in there. There's we're not doing book review, but we are going and covering events and what's going on. So I think that's very, very important. Let's see here. We had Battlefront 3, essentially Elite Squadron is what is left of it. So smash the like button. There you go. All right. So these little green dots, but I always say, look at Alderaan right here. It's just a clear little circle because it's no longer there. For Alderaan. And then, of course, the little black with the yellow around it. Those are planets that are taken by are basically destroyed by the Vong. So here is, as they go in, this is a greater view of the map per hyperspace lanes and stuff like that. So all these little lines here are the hyperspace lanes that are safe to travel. Excuse me. And so basically these right here that are lit up in yellow are planets taken by the Vong. So this is something more simplified. This is a greater map here of the campaigns, what happened and all that. Moving towards Coruscant. And then, of course, I did share in the past the one that's in the book where it looks like the hand of the Vong is reaching towards Coruscant, which I think is fucking amazing. Let's see here. All right. I'm going to have fun time reading through this with my voice wanting to go out. It's like I wake up before I go to bed, and when I wake up, my throat is sore. And I feel kind of like lousy or low energy. And so I'm like, if I'm trying to catch some kind of cold here, I don't want to. It's been good outside here in California where I live at. The weather's been really great, about in the 90s, pool weather, right? I'd rather be outside in the sun, getting sun, and and all that, but that hasn't been going on lately. So when am I going to play Knights of the Old Republic or any of the old Star Wars games? Well, I was gifted a few of them. I just haven't had the time yet. And growing up, I was a gamer. And then I really got into choir, band, dance. So I really nerd out on everything that I love. And during that time, I stopped or nearly stopped playing games. So I never really kept up on the newest games coming out. So I did miss opportunities to play other Star Wars games and stuff like that. But I'm thinking of dedicating maybe a few hours every week to play a certain game. So if I do that, I will let you guys know, and I will take you on that journey with me. Even if I don't live stream it, we'll talk about it here on a live and stuff like that. So keeping you guys in the know. So because of that, my weak area in Star Wars is the gaming area. And I think I have that in common with Matt Wilkins too. Did you know that the live action remake of Lilo and Stitch, Nanny literally gave up Lilo for adoption? Oh yeah, I heard about that. And it's kind of, yeah, it's weird how they are changing with these remakes, right? They call it remake. They're changing. I think KOTOR might be a little too advanced for OG. Lots of talking and turn-based. The Try Super Star Wars for Super Nintendo. Don't underestimate my powers. Let's see here. I tried to go to Alderaan, but I got a migraine and stayed home. All right, so here we go. Let's get into this. So there you go. That's Nomenor. And he's in the Senate. So we're going to get to that. And of course, I have a picture of Boris Kafalia. Sorry, because we're going to get into that. So first of all, we have the Wormster cloning project that we did touch upon last CAF chat. And there is the return of Bergère. So she comes back into the picture, and we'll go more into her. But there is a secret base. It's called the Eclipse. And this is where the Jedi, those in the Senate that are not going with what the Senate wants, they're, and stuff like that. They are all migrating to this secret base for meetings and stuff like that. Oh my God, I swear to God. Let me go ahead and clear my throat. I'm going to mute. I should have got me like a cough drop or something, but it's all good. We're here. All right. Although the loss of Yavin 4 and the Vong was a severe blow to the Jedi, to the Yuzhong Vong was a severe blow to the Jedi, the loss was offset by the fact that work had already started on establishing a new base dubbed Eclipse. On this hidden base, located somewhere near the core, the New Republic forces and officers who defied the Senate's orders are to withhold aid to the Jedi or refuse convoys have joined with those who had rallied around the Jedi to coordinate plans and strategies. It's a diverse group, including many who have been at odds with one another in previous years, and others who have came out as semi-retirement to face the new threat. Diplomats, Jedi, scientists, warriors, elders, statesmen, even ex-Imperials join forces at the Eclipse base to mount what they hope will be the offensive that will defeat their seemingly undefeatable enemy. So there's that base. We're not talking about the base where they take the younglings. That is in a different region. But this is where those who are planning to defend the galaxy against the Vong, this is that base. So I thought it's very important to touch basis on that. Base and basis, get it? But anyways, I thought that would be clear, or I thought that would be awesome to bring in to give a clear view of what's going on, because, we have trouble in the Senate, we have trouble in the New Republic, we have the Vong that are saying, if, if you can't bring its Jedi and stuff like that, then we are not going to no longer have this quote unquote peace treaty with you guys, and we're not going to hold on. They were never going to. They were going to renege, and so on and so forth. But you have people who are not agreeing with those in the Senate, and so they are, creating an alliance, I guess you could say, of resistance, which we'll find out later on in the series, this resistance that's being created. And so it's very interesting to see all of this occurring because, of course, the state of the galaxy is very important to the inhabitants of the galaxy. We see people in the Senate, and I'm giving some spoilers now. We see some people in the Senate, some of the higher ups that are only thinking about them and their planets. And that's another reason why Coruscant falls. So we have that. Now we have Siegel in here that she's the Jedi healer, and she takes on other roles here. I'm not going to get into a lot of her background here, but I didn't put her on the little the little list here. But she's a pivotal character in this as well. She's helping Daddy Kui with the first sentient beings in the galaxy to encounter the Yuuzhan Vong Yamask. She has been analyzing data the Jedi have acquired on the Yuuzhan Vong war coordinators. So she's helping with that. So I think that's very important, something that you'll see in the future. But General Wedge Antilles returns. Wedge Antilles is arguably the best and most famous pilot in the New Republic. A veteran of not one, but 2 Death Star assaults, Wedge led Rogue Squadron for years through some of the deadliest battles in the history of the Rebellion and the New Republic combined. He eventually left Rogue Squadron to settle into a quiet life with his wife, Ayala Wasiri. The Yuuzhan Vong invasion ended Wedge's retirement. Called back to service, General Antilles commands a large fleet assigned to protect hyperspace routes that run from the core worlds to the areas threatened by the Yuuzhan Vong. Despite his fame as a starfighter pilot, or perhaps because of it, Wedge has been given command of a capital ship. Using his keen tactical mind and quick reflexes, he now leads entire battle groups instead of just squadrons of hotshot fighter pilots. So a shout out to Wedge Antilles. I know recently people are saying that Luthen was greater, better than Wedge Antilles. That's fucking bullshit. That is fucking bullshit. Even in a galaxy far, far away, politics is still a pain in the ass. Of course. Let's see here. Darn, that was a good one. Yeah, let me see. I that was in response. Bork's failure, more like based failure. and the Disney only treated Wedge as a glorified cameo in The Rise of Skywalker. Yeah, and they bastardized his character in their so-called EU. So they really take what Wedge was established into something really awful. Yeah, so let's see here. All right. OG really wants a Rogue Squadron movie in the style of Top Gun. I do not fucking want that. Space volleyball. Anyone? Yeah, so I thought I'd bring homage and what's going on because Wedge Antilles does come back. He did get called back by as like liaisons for Gavin Darklighter, but now he really steps up and takes his role in where a ranking where best suits him and stuff. Because of his experience, he comes out of retirement, and but we know that he soon jumps back into the X-wing cockpit. Yeah, but that will come up in later talk. All right, later discussion. General Garmbil Iblis. The Corellian-born Garmbil Iblis has been recalled to active service in light of the Yuuzhan Vong. Have you noticed that both of these guys are Corellians? All right. General Bail Iblis is a prominent member of the Military Advisory Council. He advises Admiral Crafey and on strategies and tactics while simultaneously commanding a portion of the fleet that protects Coruscant from Yuuzhan Vong strikes. Despite all the years that have passed since Garm Bail Iblis, Bail Organa, and Mon Mothma formed the Rebel Alliance, we talked about that earlier, right? The general is still an impressive figure. Strong-willed and self-determined, Bail Iblis makes some people regret the decision to call him back to active service. After all, he sides with Admiral Crafey considerably more than he does with Borskfelia, Senator Biki Sesh, or for that matter, just about anyone else on the New Republic's ruling council. He's always been against that, in a sense. Another reason why he left and formed his own campaign against the Empire was that he was he didn't care for how it looked like Mon Mothma was turning into a dictator and all this other stuff. There was this back and forth and this disagreements and stuff like that. He's always been against the quote-unquote ruling faction of the Senate, right? Not saying Mon Mothma was at the time. There was just misunderstandings, all of that going on during the time. All right, so we have two major Corellians, like influential Corellians, stepping up to combat the Yuuzhan Vong, to protect the galaxy. And I think it's very interesting to see how much the Corellians, like Corellian figures, like even Han Solo, has been big influences in the galaxy. You know what? That sounds like a good video. How Corellians influence the galaxy. Man, when I talk with you guys during CAF chat, like either you guys spit out some good concepts that make me really think about like future videos, or I end up saying something. I'm like, oh shit, that sounds like a good video. How Corellians influence the galaxy. That's fucking crazy. And it goes all the way back to when hyperspace technology was invented. Because Corellians took what the Rakata did and made it more effective for humans and other species to travel. That's fucking amazing. Okay, anyways, we'll get off of that. Mara Jade is back. She gave birth to Ben. And her next mission is, after having given birth and stuff, is she is with Jaina Solo, and they go out and they go out on a solo trip, and they encounter a refugee ship pursued by the Yuuzhan Vong frigate, and this is her first mission after giving birth. And aboard the refugee ship, self-exiled Jedi Corran Horn has faced the newest Yuuzhan Vong weapon, the Jedi haunting Voxen. So this is where they discover the Voxen. So that goes back more to the Voxen. And so that's where they encounter and they get this, and this is where the whole mission is created. That this is just the beginning of Anakin having this idea of a strike team, a vision or whatever, and all of that. We're not there yet, but this sets it up. This sets it up. That video coming soon too, Soul. Let me see here. But OG's hyperspace was invented by Space Whales. Don't believe what this propagandist Disney Star Wars tells you, right? All right. Okay, let's see here. And of course, they try to deliver Voxen to Coruscant and stuff like that, but we're not going to get into that right now. That's something that I'm going to skip over for now. All right, so troubles in the Senate. Now, this picture here of Nomenor. He's been in the galaxy for quite a long time. He's been implanted there to make discoveries and learn more about the galaxy. There's a whole history behind him as well. And I think he's the one that has been in touch and encountered with Leia Organa Solo for a while. And I think it's very important to discuss this trouble in the Senate. All right, let's see here. Oh, gee, we are doing the next Star Triggered on the 20th. Okay, I was wrong. Oh, thank you. So 20th. Thank God, because I was like, my daughter graduates that day. And okay. All right, good. So there you go. There's the date. He was wrong and I was wrong. We were both wrong. But stay tuned for that, you guys. It's going to be fucking amazing. I will actually see if I can get someone to sub for me that night. So I'm there from the beginning to the end instead of coming in hot, literally from hot yoga. I'd rather be freshened up, ready to go with the content we're going to talk about and something I can bring as well. All right, so I will organize that. Okay, trouble in the Senate. So we're getting into this. Now, like I said, a lot of shit has happened up into Star by Star timeline, but shit is just now beginning. It's getting real. We went through losses already. One major loss from the beginning of the series. We get the impact of the Yuuzhan Vong in the galaxy and their mission and how they see themselves as superior. And if people don't side with them, then they're going to be destroyed or offered up to their gods. We start seeing infighting between them, which gets more and more after the Star by Star. So this series, with how many writers? About 6 writers or something like that. I could be wrong. I never really took full count. Troy Denning being one of them. We have anti-Denning people who think that, he's the only one so purposely wrote Legacy Era, and that he's never really contributed or met with everybody in planning this series, the New Jedi Order series, which I think is quite funny. But we're not going to get into that conversation here. But this novel here, where this timeline falls into, or the novel falls into the timeline, it's not only the biggest novel written in the EU, but it's one of the best novels written in the EU. I said it here, whether you agree with me or not, that's fine. But yeah, Vector Prime, I sometimes think it's underrated. It's very, very good. I give it a 9 out of 9.5. Star by Star, I give it a 10. And just because of everything that it sets up going forward, everything that it leans on that occurred in the past, it's so well written, planned. We have callbacks to other pieces of continuity. Of course, every novel has that callback into the historical timeline, and they all help set up what's to come, right? But this right here is one of the best novels out there. Now, is it as good as Revenge of the Sith? Not really, but I think Revenge of the Sith is still higher than this, but this is up there with it. I think Star by Star is in everyone's top 5 Star Wars books. I agree. The Denning-verse! Laugh my fat ass off. Yep. The Vong are very Sith-like in some ways. Yes, they are. There's a lot of dark energy. But as we get into the series and they talk about how the Force cut them off, basically, how they were cut off from the Force. And we know that beings can be cut off by the Force. Plagueis was, right? So, but anyways, they went very, very dark, and that's one of the reasons why they were cut off from the Force. Their culture and all that, and how they destroyed their home planet is another. But there's a lot of going on. We'll get into that conversation as we get towards that. Gibbet says, OG, I've only read the prequel era books. What should I start with? The original trilogy era books. Should I read the Thrawn trilogy or Shadows of the Empire? Ooh, that's a good one. If you want, like, even if just reading or watching the movies and you want to start OT era, or you want to pick up between, in the OT era as a novel, like if you're me, how am I going to say this? Yeah, Shadows of the Empire is one that you could start with. It takes you into Return of the Jedi. You're not going to necessarily miss out on a lot. You're just going to get more into what's going on between Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi. And then you can, read True Set Bakura after and then read on through that. Or you can start at Heir to the Empire. That is something that I guess you can determine yourself. Either way, both are good. Both are good. Star Wars Marble Pierce says that was in the short 3 or 4 issues, ran about 40 to 50 books after the main saga, I believe. Let me see here. All right, so let's get into this because we still got to get into Cringe Factor. We're going to go over on time, but it is what it is, right? I had an extra thing to talk about, and I did go on my rant. Fuck that. So let's ask that Alphabet Squadron is Disney lore. It's faux lore. Faux lore. All right. And that's where they bastardized Luke's character, saying that he didn't do shit when it came to destroying the Death Star. It was all about Jan Ors. All right, trouble in the Senate. The New Republic Chief of State, Borsk Felia, is mentioned to defer judgment on the issue of the Telfaglio refugee convoy has one proviso. The Yuuzhan Vong must send a representative to discuss the situation with the Senate. So, yes, it was his idea to bring a Yuuzhan Vong in, and we'll go from there. Was he right or wrong? That's up to you guys to determine. Though nearly everyone sees Felia's motion as a delaying tactic, opinions vary. Some wonder why Felia does not simply refuse to aid the Jedi and be done with the matter. Leia Organa Solo, for her part, believes Borsk Felia is doing what he always does, trolling for a better offer. He's a troller. She called him a troll. But anyways, certainly Felia could save thousands of refugees by turning against the Jedi and helping the Yuuzhan Vong capture them all. However, he could also negotiate certain assurances for himself that would ensure not only the refugees' survival, but also a portion of some prestige for himself. And if you know Felia's history, he's always thinking about himself. They basically shut him down in Heir to the Empire. All right. If the galaxy falls to the Yuuzhan Vong, the concept discussed Leia so thoroughly that she vows never again to appear before the short-sighted New Republic's Senate. When Leia gets turned off like that, when it discuss her so much, shit is going down, because she is one of them that has stood and helped rebuild the Senate, the government, what is now the New Republic, all of that. And she is thoroughly disgusted with these tactics and these personal gains that people are trying to do. And like I said, these officials are trying to do, like Borsk Felia. Like I said, as we go on through the timeline, the historical timeline of the New Jedi Order, you're going to see how they are just thinking about themselves and what they can do for their planets. They don't care about the rest of the Republic. I know that Big Bird was a New Republic's president at some time ago. Big Bird. Gaverson. Which one is worse? Darth Cades killing his own Aunt Mara Jade, or Kylo killing his own father Han Solo? Okay, so Kylo Ren, and that's faux lore. And so I don't even consider that. But when Caedus killed his own aunt, yeah, it was pretty bad, and it was done for a reason, turning Sith, right? All right. There was no reason for Kylo to kill Han. He wasn't going for Sith status or anything like that. So that was kind of a hollow thing. That was very hollow. Kylo don't exist, right? I forget that Yoda is Space Kermit. All right. So Nomenor's address to the Senate. We're going to get into this, you guys. To everyone's surprise, Nomenor is chosen by Saban Law's ambassador to the New Republic Senate. Given his past activities, poisoning the diplomats at Monor II, agitating the Ramamolians, aiding the fall of Duros, and arranging the destruction of one of the Talfaglio's refugee ships, sending him to negotiate for the lives of the rest of the refugees is almost certainly doomed to fail. That's the strategic plan. Even Nomenor is surprised at his selection. In fact, the only thing that Nomenor thinks he could possibly accomplish would be to fracture the Senate even further. And I think that was what Saban was hoping for, or that he is hoping for. Let's see here. He decides the idea has some merit. A divided Senate would be powerless, unable to reach consensus to make decisions in time to make a difference. Keeping the Senate confused and divided would require that Nomenor remain on Coruscant as long as possible, always holding out hope to the New Republic that the Yuuzhan Vong were on the verge of reaching a peaceful accord. And that's how they infiltrate Coruscant too. It's kind of funny how fast the Senate sells that during time of crisis. Yep. Nomenor is pleased when and I'll go back to the PT era. We see that during that time. Nomenor is pleased when he learns that Leia Organa Solo will not be present to campaign or champion the Jedi. He will easily play upon the Senate's resentment of the Jedi. And this is where it's like he plants himself, like he's getting planted in there strategically. Leia gives up. She's so disgusted. She's like, we got to take matters. We form our own resistance, basically. We got to unite together as our own faction because the Senate now is falling apart. And she doesn't want to be a part of that. But then again, that kind of bites her in the ass because she's not there to, talk out against Nomenor. Kind of crazy how that works, right? He will easily play upon the Senate's resentment of the Jedi, much as he had done on Ramamul. With enough time, he believes he can slowly turn all of them against the Jedi, one way or another. As he begins his address to the Senate, he feels confident that he has the senators in the palm of his hands. He will weaken the New Republic Senate, regain his prestige in the Yuuzhan Vong hierarchy, and show the War Master that Viger does not know everything about the New Republic. Now, like I said, I was going through the abridged version on Audible. This is not even in there. This is a very important aspect of this novel because it also begins the fall of Coruscant. So, like I said, Audible for the unabridged or the abridged version on Audible, I do not recommend unless you have read the book already. But however, it's still not worth it because you don't get these other aspects of the plot where, Nomenor is strategically planted within the Senate and all the Voxen are secretly taken to Coruscant. And there's that whole bit behind that. And so I recommend either read the book or find the full version unabridged on YouTube. Yeah, getting the abridged version is just lazy. Yes, it is. I like to compare and contrast things. So, like, I am reading the book, and now I got the abridged version to see what they're leaving out and all of that. And I highly recommend not to get the abridged version. Nerd Migos, what's up? Good morning to you. I hope you are doing well. I see you in the chat. So there you go. Now, Borsvelia casts his vote. And I was looking for this because I wanted to play a clip for you guys with this scene in the Senate and stuff like that, and it's not on there. What's the book's name? My mind went blank. What book are you talking about? Soul Assassin. Star by Star? Or are you talking about a different book? But anyways, Borsfelius interprets the War Master's choice quite differently. Throughout his long career, the Bothans have learned to detect subterfuge, and this ploy has been waved under his nose. In sending Nomenor to address the Senate, the Yuzhong Vong had made it perfectly clear that their purpose is simply to inflame the Senate and turn the senators against each other. If they cannot agree to support or reject the Jedi, the Nomenor might keep the entire body arguing over the matter until the Yuzhong Vong arrive to take Coruscant away from them. To unite the Senate, Borsfelius must make a decision. The entire assembly is stunned with the chief of state's stand and begins to berate the Yuzhong Vong ambassador. Velia vilifies Nomenor for the unending series of lies and deceptions the agent provocateur has perpetrated. The Bothan scandalizes him for the Yuzhong Vong's blatant cowardice in using innocent refugees to defeat the Jedi. I bet you guys didn't see that coming, right? That's why I think it's very important to have this scene in the audio version, but there's a lot going on, and it gives people's understanding of Borsfelius in his redemption arc and making the last stand on Coruscant. Because he does have a redemption arc, I guess you can say. When Senator Vicky Shess, one of the most vocal proponents of surrendering the Jedi, questions the chief of state's sense of diplomacy, Felia turns his ire on her. The chief of state lambasts her for an even suggestion that the leadership of the New Republic should encourage such terror tactics by acquiescing to them even once. Borsfelius makes it clear that if the Yuzhong Vong wants Jedi so badly, they will have to take them without the New Republic's help. In a masterpiece of oratory, the Bothan chief of state reunites the Senate, reaffirming that the New Republic will not stop fighting the Yuzhong Vong as long as so much a single course skipper remains in the galaxy. From that moment on, Felia's allies in the Senate unequivocally support the Jedi. So there you go. So we have that back and forth. We have Nomenor planted in the Senate to bring, to separate, to split the Senate's view, to create chaos and have them fight amongst each other. And Borsfelius comes in and with people thinking that he's going to side with or have his own agenda, surprises everybody with that. So there you go. So we're going to end it here. It's just getting good. It's fine. It's just getting good. And so leaves you with this here, what the hell's going on. And I hope those who have read this before but haven't picked up this book in a long time, I hope this encourages you to reread. That's the whole purpose of this, is reread. So let me see what you guys are saying in the chat. Star by Star. Yeah, so there it is. Soul Assassin. What's the book's name? My mind went blank. Yes, Star by Star is what we're on. And I agree. I retweeted one of his. Let's see here. So the new Jedi Order abridged is not like Naruto's abridged or Dragon Ball Z abridged. I can't say yes or no because I have never read those and stuff. So there you go. There you go. Hold on. All right. And let's see here. My son is here, so I was talking to him real quick. All right. So we're going to leave it here. And when we go next week into this, we're going to go into the Yuuzhan Vong Hunter War Droids. We're going to cover Saba 17, which she is a character that is introduced first here. I think she's a badass Jedi. She's one of my favorites. And the Jedi Radicals. So we're going to get into that, all those, then the new Starship Tactics. So we're going to, and then XJ3 X-Wings. So we are going to get into those parts there next week. So something to look forward to. Something to look forward to. All right. So let's get into our cringe factor, our last bit of CAF chats here. But in the meantime, let's go ahead and replay this because I did cut it off and I need to refresh my coffee because I need some kind of liquids and to coat this throat here since I feel like I'm catching a cold or something. I don't know. Try not to put too much into that. I just think that maybe it's just allergies. It's that time of year. So here we go.
Someone asked me to give the best reason why someone should read the expanded universe. After giving it a lot of thought, here's what I have to say. The expanded universe respects the reader. In the expanded universe, Luke Skywalker's optimism continues where it left off in Return of the Jedi. He's fulfilled hope to the galaxy just like Obi-Wan said he would, not like the Disney movies where he gave up on the Jedi or even the whole galaxy for that matter. The character you see in those movies is not Luke. Luke isn't a quitter. He's not a pessimist. He's a leader. He's inspirational. And he's always there for his friends in times of need. Another character is Han Solo. He's introduced to us in A New Hope as a loner, a man who cares only for himself and nobody else. But by the end of Return of the Jedi, that all turns around when he finally finds friends he can trust and a true love to spend the rest of his life with. And that's exactly what he does in the expanded universe. Han is a devoted husband and father to Leia and their kids. He loves his family above all else. In the new movies, Han turns out to be a selfish deadbeat dad who ran out on his family when things get tough. It's a complete 180 from the character that we saw from Return of the Jedi. Now, another thing the EU does is it rewards its readers. Attention to detail when it comes to continuity has never been done at such a level as when it was performed by the expanded universe. Avid readers will constantly be rewarded for their diligence as comics, novels, video games, and even children's books share connections throughout the entire series, making it almost a flawless, continuous story. And though it has its minor flaws, it's still the best overall story in continuity out there, period. That's what the EU does. It respects and rewards its readers. And that's the best reason you should give it a try. Long live the expanded universe.
Long live the expanded universe. Why read the EU? Because that's what civilized people do. And I think we're coming to that conclusion every time us on Gatekeepers Alliance uncovers all the shill chaos, the fence riding shenanigans. Yeah. So with that being said, what do you guys know about Yavin 4 and the history? What do you guys know? We are getting into this.
So uncivilized.
So uncivilized. Now, I feel like I'm losing my voice, but I will go as far as I can. So this right here is an opinion article, but it still qualifies for cringe factor because I thought this would be fun to share. And what do you know about Yavin 4 and This right here, I still can't believe that Star Wars has given A New Hope's most important planet such an annoying origin story. So when you read that, what planet do you think of when it says most important planet? When it comes to the OT, what planet do you think? We already talked about Yavin. I already asked you a question about Yavin. But do you think Yavin's the most important planet? What most important planet do you think is? All right, so let's get into this. So I want to get some lunch. I'm hungry now. All right, so this is by Louis Glazebrook, and so we have covered some of his stuff before. Star Wars has proven A New Hope's most important planet was an origin story. Let me go back. Star Wars has provided A New Hope's most important planets with an origin story, but I still cannot believe how annoying it proved to be. Over the years, both the best and worst ranked Star Wars movies have tended to cause controversy for one reason or another. Rarely, however, does Star Wars receive a criticism of being annoying. And perhaps one of the few elements to do so comes from the first chronological Star Wars movie, Star Wars Episode. Oh my God. So you're saying, oh, they're going to Jar Jar Binks here, which who fucking cares? Who fucking cares? It's a character. If you get annoyed by a character, so what? So what? Let me go ahead and click that ad. So let me see what you guys are saying in the chat already. Yavin sounds like one of the coolest places of the galaxy. Alderaan. Tatooine. Let's see here. Bruh, the title already made me cringe beyond recover. Yeah, we could just say, here's a title, and there you go. It's cringe. Hold on here. I'm going to pause mute real quick. All right, let's see here. So let's get into this. Even in this case, though, the prequels have undergone a period of revisionism lately. I disagree with that. We're not going to get into this part here because they're trying to justify everything with the prequels. Yavin 4 is the most important planet in A New Hope. Do you guys agree? It's where the event occurs, where I think the battle is important, but the planet, I don't know. What do you guys think? It is basically the base of the Rebel Alliance. Well, they have other bases before. On movie screen, that's where we see a base, but it also talks about a base before then on Dantooine. All right, Lucas Garrison says, a nerd amigo says Tatooine. Yavin for the place where Naga Sadal brings his Masasi warriors on his exile from Korriban, and the place where Exar Kun had made his temples, and he is imprisoned there too as a Sith ghost, not a Force ghost. So he's a spirit, right? There's a difference. People think, oh well, they're one and the same, Sith spirits and Force ghosts. No, there's different intentions behind that. One, you're entrapped. One, you have a more or less a free will for a time being and stuff like that. So, but I'm not going to get into the dynamics of that. All right, let's move on. The planet in question is Yavin 4, which remains the most important planet in A New Hope. Do you agree? While the first Star Wars movie, at least in release order, includes planets like Tatooine, Alderaan, both of which become integral to the franchise, Yavin 4 is the film's most important location. Technically a moon of a gas giant, Yavin 4 was the secret home base of the Rebel Alliance. Dantooine was before then and served as a haven for the freedom fighters to flesh out their ranks and establish an organized fight back against the Empire. No, not really. Their ranks were already fleshed out long before then. Like this whole organization of the Rebel Alliance, when it was established with Mom Mothma, Bel Iblis, and Bail Organa. they already established a hierarchy and stuff like that. And the source book that I pull to for information, the Rebel Alliance source book, shares more of that. So I don't know where this guy thinks that that's where they flesh out everything, because if they did it then their organization is newer than what we see in the original lore, which means that they're barely getting their shit together before they get attacked, before the Death Star gets to Yavin, right? Exactly. The Sith spirits need a place or object to maintain themselves on the living world, unlike the Jedi Force ghosts who simply exist naturally wherever they want, correct? Let's see here. And did I read this one here? Yeah. Where the story of A New Hope specifically is concerned, Yavin 4 is integral to the film's final act. It's where Luke, Leia, and Han retreat after escaping the Death Star, and where they learned. Well, they don't. It's like, okay, so they make it like a retreat, like they go and run and hide, like it's what's the word I'm trying to find now? Yeah. Like it's a last minute choice, basically. And where they learn of the flaw in the giant space station that could see it destroyed. I'm going to say this, wherever the base was going to be is where they're going to learn, because that's where they plugged in the information that they received that was beamed to Leia, not sent to her on foot on a disc, right? And they went ahead and analyzed and shared and shown. Okay, so no matter where the base is at, that's where they're going to figure that out, right? The final battle of the movie was dubbed the Battle of Yavin. Well, duh. An event that became the center point of Star Wars' entire timeline. Not necessarily. As a result to these points, Yavin was established as a vital planet to A New Hope and Star Wars as a whole. Kind of. You could say each movie has a pivotal planet or important planets, and this is a moon, just like Andor is a moon. Yavin 4's origin story was highlighted in Andor Season 2 in a very annoying way. The Maya Pai storyline was Andor's most annoying. So they're saying that this is most annoying. So those who watch these scenes extensively and stuff, please share in the chat. I've seen bits and pieces of it, but some of you guys that have watched it thoroughly can say more. In many ways, Andor is Disney Star Wars' best TV show. As such, Andor contains some of the best moments in the entire franchise. Do you guys agree with that? Some of the strongest character, and some of the most mature, compelling writing Star Wars has ever seen. Yep, they're throwing out this narrative, the same narrative that all these fans were groomed with by Lucasfilm and the media. You can look up that history. It's almost like they were groomed to say this before the show came, because that's what they were saying before the show, right? For these reasons, I could not believe how annoying I found the storyline that explored Yavin 4's origin. So basically, those who have seen these, like the episodes with Yavin, is that fleshing out Yavin 4's origins? What do you guys think about that? I had never once found any part of Andor uncompelling, but the long episodes of cereal eating, slow walking, what have you, was not uncompelling. Mon Mothma's daughter's wedding of them just dancing around was not uncompelling. But the sections with the Maya Pai Brigade in season 2's first 2 episodes graded me in a way I was not expecting. Let me go ahead and see what's going on in the chat. Oh, Andor is annoying. I thought SC Cringe rant likes Disney Star Wars. So yeah, you'd be surprised, right? Disney thinks Tatooine is the temporal junction point of the entire galaxy. Most of their stories happen there, except the one that 10% should have, Kenobi, right? I know. Great point and mic drop there, Melissa Lord. Thank you so much. Oh, so that's what they are coming from. Of course, it's Andor, right? Obviously, the writer of the article never read the EU and how expands the lore of the movies. Correct. And I was hoping that Star Wars Marvel Purist is here to chime in on this. Let's see here. Let me go back. Perhaps the main reason for this was the lack of development it had on the overall storyline. Eventually, I realized this was all necessary as Cassian flew away and revealed he was on Yavin the entire time. This reveal is in a vacuum was cool, especially as it tied Yavin so intrinsically to a character I love in Cassian. So they're going to probably trying to say here that it's Cassian's idea to make the base on Yavin. I don't know. The journey there, though, was filled with exaggerated acting, annoying characters, petty squabbles, and storyline I simply did not care for. The reveal of how the Rebel Alliance found Yavin, a vital planet in A New Hope, proved to be more irritating than anything. Andor's Maya Pai storyline is annoying, but even I admit it makes sense. So he says it's annoying, but makes sense. So I'm not going to go through all of this, but basically the storyline was annoying, the origins of it, and what have you. So what do you guys think? What do you guys think about all of this? I know it's Disney, Star Wars. All of it in itself is cringe, right? All of it is cringe. Let's see here. Damn, I missed it. I was getting my son lunch. All right, so this is about him saying that the person in this article, let me go back up here. Let me scroll back up here. So Glazebrook is saying that the origins story in Andor about Yavin 4 is annoying. And let's see here. Because of the cringe, I just was there. It says, I realized that Cassian flew away, blah, 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 intrinsically into character I love and cast this journey there through. So he basically says the journey there through was filled with exaggerated acting, annoying characters, petty squabbles, and a storyline I simply did not care for. The reveal of how the Rebel Alliance found Yavin, a vital planet to A New Hope, proved to be more irritating than anything else. So what do you think about that? Do you agree with this person that's writing this article? Do you think that this basically sums up Andor, Star Wars Marvel Purist? Like I said, I've seen bits and pieces of those two episodes of the Yavin and the group of people on there and how immature they are. And they're trying to say now that Cassian is the one that established or recommended Yavin for the Rebel base. And that's where they established the ranking of, I have it highlighted here. They fleshed out their ranks and established an organization to fight back against the Empire. So they're saying that Yavin is the place where everything was established for the Rebel Alliance. Whereas I said earlier, like the source book, the Rebel Alliance shares that it was long established before Yavin. So in Disney Star Wars, I guess the Rebel Alliance was established just soon before the attack on the Rebel Alliance at Yavin. So there you go. I'll take real Tales of the Jedi comics for the win, please. I agree. And thank you so much. So this is Cringe Factor here. Oh boy, Andor tears down my favorite segue. Let's see here. Man, this new canon is so forced into the OG movies. Nothing feels natural. They force their characters into OG content just because. I think it's more organically done. I agree, and I think it's more organically done when they started writing stories and connecting stories around the OT movies and stuff like that, where they expanded on, and they made it make sense with characters that weren't seen in the movies, I guess you could say, but they really highlighted the characters that were in the movies because they are very much pivotal to that timeline, that part of the historical timeline, right? And so there you go. So I agree. So it's like it's all ham-fisted in there. Let's see here. Sub to Melvin. Yes. So we're going to go ahead and conclude now. I just wanted to go through this and provide this cringe factor. I'm getting ready to lose my voice or something. I don't know. So I'm going to give it a rest and go have some lunch. Let me see here. Find something to eat. Andor just added one jungle creature to Yavin 4. That's it. No Dantooine in Andor. No mention of Princess Leia or Akbar in Andor. None of that. And then there are so many different species and creatures on Andor that the young Jedi Knights go into. And they totally missed out on that. Those people shouldn't be living like how they are in the jungles of Andor. There's so many threats, plants to species or to animals, to beasts, to whatever, creatures. And they were living there like nothing. Like, there's no threat to them. Like there's no other predatory species that can harm them and everything like that. So I find that very misleading as well. So great point there, Nerd Vigos. Great point there as well. Speaking of Young Jedi Knights, the Sunday, 6 p.m. here, become a channel member. I will send out the link here soon, probably by tomorrow. So you go to the link, click on it, register to receive your link in the email to join. And we're going to begin book 1 of the Young Jedi Knights listen party for 2 hours. Like I said, the books are around about 4 hours each. And so I'm going to split them up. 2 for the first, 2 for the second, go on. There's 14 of them. So we're going to go through together. So that's going to be happening for the rest of this year, I guess you can say. And I think it's going to be a fun adventure with you guys. So become a channel member so you can receive the perks and come and join the book club, I guess you can say. And with that, we're going to start closing out. Gatekeepers Alliance, we are airing on the 20th. So stay tuned for that. Tomorrow night, catch me on The Spacing. I'm excited for that. And also tonight, looks like Raging Rhino is back with his casual rage. So go over there and hit the reminder and go join in. I'll probably be in listening in maybe. So hopefully I'll see you there. And with that being said, you guys have a great day and may the force be with you. And I shall catch you on the next CAF chat. Oh, one more thing. I have a Continuity Chronicles coming out. I also have a compare and contrast. I am comparing and contrasting Disney's Gorman Massacre to the original Gorman Massacre. So stay tuned for that. And with that being said, this is someone who stated that they don't want to, distort the EU and stuff because that would be rude. And we're going to start ending with this. So you guys, I'll catch you later.
And I've always leaned towards if we're going to create something, we should check and see if it existed already to the fans, because it has way more value if we bring that in. And It's like, why would I just replace it with something new? So if we're going to do an admiral, if we're going to do a big military leader, yeah, I could create a new guy, sure. But what about Thrawn? Thrawn is great. Thrawn is a character we all know. Thrawn has a lot of credibility. So then you ask yourself, is it right to use him? And can we use him in a way that's similar to the books? Or are we using him and it's going to go completely into left field? And there have been times when we wanted to use things from the EU and I was like, yeah, but we can't use it that way. So why? I don't want to use it and change it. Mm-hmm. I don't want to use it and make it something completely different. That's rude.
Jedi is something that came a little later when we started Jedi is something that came a little later when we started building Jedis. We had a lot of Jedis, and we needed more and more Jedis. As we were doing them toward the end, we ended up with a lot of Jedis that looked like people that worked at ILM, with these short little haircuts and looked like they stepped out from behind a computer. And so I was saying we have to get more exotic Jedis, and so we only have so much resources to do these things with, but I do have Twi'leks because we use them quite a bit in other areas in the Senate and as background action. So I have a sort of a wardrobe and a setup of certain kinds of characters. So it was a way of reinventing some of those characters. And I had realized that we had a comic book that has a Twi'lek in it that is a Jedi. There's a whole series actually of her. And I said, well, why don't we put her in this? I mean, she's a comic character, but we'll just fit her in and have her be a background character because that's exotic. That's how the Twi'lek Jedi ended up in the backgrounds of these shots, was to try to use some of the work and effort that the guys in the comic book world had put into things and characters they had created.
Bitch, sit down. Be humble. Sit down. Be humble. Sit down. Bitch, sit down.
Another happy landing.